So what I want to bring to the table is I want to tell you guys how I made 6 figures in 6 months. If that's something that you're interested in knowing more about, how did I make that money? How did I make so much money so fast? Then stay tuned for more, and I'm about to put y'all on game. All right, hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Riii. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that, but I really think it would be really dope for me to do a series on how I made 6 figures in 6 months. We'll start with this video. How do you become a travel nurse? What things to look for in your contract? And then we'll just start doing other little videos stemming from here. Y'all, we are in a new little setting, a new background for you guys. As y'all can see, we are recording in the car. I showed y'all a couple of vlogs ago, we got this new car mount and I thought that it would be perfect for my YouTube. And guess what, you guys? We're going on a little road trip. I decided that I'm gonna go back home to visit my family, but it's a 4-hour trip. So I decided what better time than now to give you guys all the great information, all the great stuff. And I know you guys have been hella interested in travel nursing. So I really don't know how I'm gonna make this video. I don't intend for it to be long, but I also don't have any real structure for the videos. So if you want to hang in. If you don't, you don't. But you guys, I'm very excited because I am very grateful. I'm very blessed that my career has given me the ability to be able to make this amount of money at my age, at this level of where I am. So I just kind of want to tell you guys more about that. I want to encourage more people to definitely go for nursing, to go for travel nursing, because there is so much money to be made and it's real. I'm a witness. I just wanted to let y'all know. So let's start at the beginning. I am a travel nurse. For the people that do not know, my name is Mariah. I am a travel nurse. I work in progressive care and I have been a nurse for over 2 years now. This is my first. I am now coming up to the end, and the reason why I wanted to do this video now is because I'm ending my first contract. I never thought that I would make it here, you guys. So I just kind of wanted to take some time and reflect on how these past 6 months have gone. So 2 years experience. So I am a RN, a registered nurse, and I just started travel nursing back in October of 2021. I took a 6-month travel nursing contract, working 60 hours a week, making buku amounts of money. So that is a little bit about me. I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that I wish that I knew before I started travel nursing, because it's something that isn't necessarily talked about a lot, and there's a lot of gray areas and things that coming into this I didn't know, and I was looking for the answers. It's kind of hard to find those resources, but I just kind of want to let y'all know some of the things that I wish somebody would have told me before I started. Let's just start with resources regarding finding other travelers. There are a ton of Facebook groups. I would definitely encourage you to go and join those, kind of to ask different questions about, hey, does this contract seem right? Or, hey, how have anybody heard anything about this specific hospital or this specific manager? There's tons of groups, and also too, they can help you with housing. They can help you with finding different coupons for rentals and things like that. So it's just really a really big community of fellow travelers that have gone through the same struggles, and they can just give you advice and help you out along the way as you go. So I definitely recommend that. Next thing is gonna be your recruiter. So I would say picking an agency. So let's start here. If you don't know, in order to be able to do travel nursing, you do need to have basic nursing experience. So they recommend that you have at least 2 years of experience before you start traveling, but some people do travel with less years of experience. I honestly would just say to each its own. I'm not going to tear anybody down, but I strongly would recommend that you have at least a good 2 years of experience, just because you don't want to rob yourself. There's so much within nursing, and you need to get your own foot on the ground. You need to learn the basics and really have a good foundation, because you don't know what you're signing up for when you go on these contracts. You don't know what the hospital is going to be like. You don't know what the patient load is going to be like. You don't know what kind of resources you'll have available to you, or if you'll have any resources available. So what I strongly say is You need to be able to take on the strongest workload with the least amount of resources and be able to function. If you can do that, then you're ready to travel. I would say too, on the unit that you work on, because you can travel within different specialties. Where I was working before, I was an ICU nurse, so I decided to travel in progressive care. So as y'all can see, that's a bit of a step down. I didn't feel comfortable traveling to other ICUs at that time because I had only been in the ICU for 1 year, and I just didn't know what kind of situation I was going to get thrown into. But I knew that with my skill set that I could definitely handle any progressive care. So you need to make sure that whatever your specialty is, that you can handle taking care of the sickest patient, the very sickest patient that would ever come up there. If you feel like you would be scared or you wouldn't know what to do, or you're going to have to ask a lot of questions and look like a chicken with your head cut off, then I would strongly recommend that you do not do travel nursing. Now, there are some people that do continue to travel even though they don't really have their skill sets, and you just run the risk of getting canceled. You run the risk of losing your license, and that's just the choice that you make. Moving on from that, when it comes to deciding like you are ready to travel, so say for instance, I was working as a staff nurse for a couple years, and I just started seeing like a bunch of offers going out for travel nurses. They were offering like thousands of dollars a week, and in my head, I love my staff nurse job, so we can start there. I wasn't miserable at my job. I loved where I work. I loved the people that I worked for. I loved the company, the city, everything. So I was very content working as a staff nurse. But at the end of the day too, the only thought that came in my head was, when are you ever in your life going to be offered this amount of money with the level of credentials that you have to your name right now? When? It was never gonna happen. So I said, sign me up, okay? And literally within 2 weeks, I was like gone. So I do not regret it, you guys. Like, traveling has really afforded me a lot of freedoms. I have been able to travel the world. I've been able to do things for my family. I've been able to like invest my money into things. Like, there's really been a lot of things that I would have never been able to do right now today, y'all, like ever in life, had it not been for traveling. So I kind of want to get into contracts and picking an agency. So let me get my food. I did just stop at Bojangles because I'm hungry. Y'all, I'm such a fatty. Hold on. All right, so this food is about to be so good. It's nice and fresh, so I'm very happy. But you guys, so if you decide that you are a staff nurse, so first step is being a registered nurse, going to school to be an RN, and getting your experience in the real world on the floor at the hospital, like at bedside. Those are the first steps. Once you've gotten your experience and you decide like you're ready to travel, the next thing on the list is going to be finding an agency that you want to work for. Now, this is where different people have different opinions. For me, I just went with the most popular company that I was hearing about. Actually, let me just say, I went for one of the most popular ones, Riii. That was the first one that I started looking into. A lot of girls were getting contracts with them. And also to look at people around you. Another thing was girls that I was going to nursing school with like years ago, they were all starting to travel. So I just started asking them like, hey, who are you working for? Who's your recruiter? Like, can you give me tips and tricks, whatever? And people will put you on. Like, it's really not that hard. A lot of times people just don't look for answers, and that's why they don't know. But if you just ask people, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be nice enough to tell you. Now, there are some people that really will just try to hide information, and I can't speak to that. But where I'm sitting at, I want all of us to make money. I want all of my nurses to go out there and make the money that they deserve to make, so that they'll be happy within the profession and that they'll stay there longer. There's so many people that quit nursing, and it's so sad, but you just feel underappreciated, undervalued, and overworked. And it's not fair to us because we do a lot and we do have to take on a lot. So anyways, ask around and just see. I recommend working for at least 2 different agencies, just because different people are going to have different offers. They're going to offer you different pay rates. They're going to offer you different stipends. That's one thing I want to get into more. Like, as a travel nurse, you get your hourly pay. You also get your weekly meal stipends. You get money for food, and you get money for housing. So three components go into your check every time, and you get paid every week. Look, I'm just putting y'all onto the game. So you get paid every week. That's the first big major benefit that I love. Next thing on the list, it's your check is composed of 3 components. One is your taxable hourly rate. Number 2, you also get paid weekly stipends for housing. And number 3, you also get weekly stipends for food. Now, stipends for food and housing are not taxed. Not taxed. not taxed. You do whatever you want with that money. So the goal is that they give you, this is an example, the goal is that they give you $2,000 a month for housing, and that you can find housing for $1,000 and pocket $1,000. But at the end of the day, sometimes depending on where you go, you really might have to spend that whole housing stipend to find like adequate housing for where you are. So that's just depending, and that's why I always recommend too, if you are wanting to travel, go somewhere where you know that your family or you have distant relatives or friends that you get housed with, or somebody that will let you just pay them a few couple, $100, $1,000 here just to stay for the month, just sleep. Because all we do is sleep and go to work. Like, we're at work 12-hour days, so we're really not in the house like that. Anyways, go find you a couple of agencies, set up your profile. They're going to make you send in all of your documentations, like your licenses, all of your certifications, all of your like vaccinations. That was a big thing. Vaccinations were required when I started. I was required to be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine before I could go into the hospital. I know different hospitals are different, so it really just depends. What else? They are going to make you do a drug test. They are going to make you do a physical exam. They are going to make sure that you're up to date on all of your shots and things. And I know some people might know that, but I'm just putting it all out there for people that do not know. What else? That's all I can really think about with the agency, because honestly, that's really all you have to do is have your experience, have your credentials, and go find an agency that's going to pay you what you're wanting to get paid. And honestly, you're in there like swimwear after that. Like I said, realistically, the time frame from when I said, oh my gosh, I'm serious, I'm really going to travel, to the time that I had my day one on the job, it was less than a month. I really think that the time was about 3 weeks, but I'm going to push it 1 month. It was the maximum amount of time. Like, I put in my 2 weeks at my old job. I quit there, started getting new uniforms. One thing that I will strongly suggest for people, because this is one thing that I wish I knew before going into nursing, you need to have your coins stacked up before you go into travel nursing. And that is the biggest gem that anybody will ever tell you. Do not quit your job. Do not go on this new hiatus if you don't have 2 dimes to rub together, because I'm just letting you know, you're going to have to come out of pocket for a lot of things. I had to come out of pocket for scrubs. When I needed a place to live, you got to come out of pocket for a first month's deposit, for the first month's rent. You got to pay all of those things before you get there, and you do not get paid from the agency until after you've worked 2 weeks. So for people that do not know that, you are not getting paid. I didn't get any sign-on bonuses. So you have to make sure that you have enough money to survive. Another thing that I wish that I knew is that travel nursing, you are at will. You can get canceled, cut anytime. You are not guaranteed your job. Like, you are not guaranteed a seat at the table. Like, if they decide that they no longer need you, if they decide that, and it could be for different reasons, let me not scare you, but for any reason, they could fire you, they could end your contract, and you don't want to be sitting there stuck. If you have real bills, real family, real things that need constant money coming in, you just need to make sure that you make the responsible decision to sit down and look at your finances before you decide to make a jump like this, because it's not guaranteed that your contract is going to last the term that they said. It's not guaranteed that they're going to keep your rate at the pay that they said that they would. People change rates and have to adjust contracts all the time. So I just would want for my babes to know, if this is something that you're wanting to do, make sure that you have at least a couple $1,000s saved up, because it does cost money to get up off the ground and really get started in this travel nursing thing. And I'm not saying that you need buku amounts of money, but first month deposit, first month rent, that's not cheap. That's at least a couple $1,000s. And also, scrubs are not cheap. For if you're working 4 days a week, you're going to need at least 4 tops, 4 bottoms. That was at least $300, and that's getting cheap scrubs. Scrubs can run you a lot of money. You're going to need work shoes. You're going to need like your badge reel, pens to write with. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm just letting you know, I would recommend that you have a little bit of savings in your pocket, okay? All right, y'all, I'm sorry if I'm not in the best lighting, but I'm driving and I just really wanted to give y'all info, so please bear with me. Don't come for me in the comments about the quality. All right, so next thing that I want to recommend is, when it comes to the contracts, one thing when it comes to those contracts, what I want for the nurses to know, because when I was in that situation, I felt very much like, oh, I have to take this contract, or I don't know when the next contract will be. I was feeling like, oh, I'm not going to have many options since I'm a first-time traveler, since I don't have as much experience, this, that, and the third. So I felt like whatever deal they gave me, I had to take it. So my biggest advice to you guys is, throw that out the window. You are not desperate. You don't have to take what they give you. If it does not sound right, if you do not want to do it, you do not have to do it. Now, let me tell you this. This is the example I'm going to give you. So when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do travel nursing or not, I was really struggling with how many hours I wanted to work. Realistically, I knew that I could work 48 hours a week, no problem. But a part of me too, I was like, dang, you might as well do 5 days a week, because like you could really bank more money, and you don't have anything else to do in a small town other than like sleep and eat. So I was like, why not go make money on those other days? So that's what I decided I was gonna go do. But like, say for instance with my recruiter, she first got me a contract for 48 hours a week, and I asked her, I said, hey, can you inquire about 60 hours? And she said, yeah, no problem. So she comes back and she's like, hey, they approved you for 60 hours, so you can go ahead and sign the contract. And I told her, I was like, well, I don't know, let me think about it. I'm not sure if I really want to go through with that or not. I was just wanting to get like a little idea if they were willing to do it or not. And my recruiter was like, no, you have to sign it. Like, no, once they already went back and looked at everything, like it's kind of messed up for us to ask them for 60 hours and then go back down to 48. Now, I can understand her perspective as a recruiter. I'm letting you know, as a nurse, you do not have to say yes. In that moment, if I did not feel comfortable, I could have still said, I only want to work 48 hours, because you don't want to stretch yourself too thin, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're miserable or you're overworked or you're not giving your best self to your patients into the hospital. So another thing is the contract term. You get to decide how long your contract is going to be for. Most popular one is 13 weeks, which is about 3 months that you'll be at a facility. I did 26 weeks. That was definitely a beginner's mistake. I strongly do not recommend that you sign a 6-month contract at a hospital until you know what the hospital's like, what the workload's like, what the people are like, and if that's something that you could realistically do. Now, I do thank God, because I was very much blessed in how I got the hospital that I got, working 60 hours a week for 6 months. I survived. I was on time. Like, I never like had to call out major amounts or like had to miss work or anything like that. So I honestly am very proud of myself, but it's not for the weak. I'll tell you, I had to sacrifice a lot. I had to sacrifice time with my family, time with my friends, like a lot of things I had to give up, but it was worth the sacrifice that I made for my life and for the things that I have envisioned for myself, you know. So I would just say it's doable, but it's not easy, and you can't have it all, and I just want for y'all to know that. So when I just signed like my next contract, I did an 8-week contract and not 6 months, because at that rate you can just kind of see how you like it. If you like it, you can stay longer. If you don't like it, you can just end it. So there's something called extensions. If you do love the facility that you go to, like you can go for 8 weeks, and if you love it, you can just say, hey, I want to extend for another 4 weeks, or I want to extend for another 8 weeks, or another 13 weeks, or whatever. The ball's really in your court. The worst that they can say is no. You can structure the deal however you want to, ask for whatever you really want, and then just see what they say. I always say the worst they can say is no. Like, I'm not gonna not ask because I mean, what, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like, okay, so there's that. So I talked about contracts. I guess this video we're really going to talk about some things that I wish I knew, but it's really kind of focusing on how to start travel nursing, how to be a travel nurse, and things to look for in your travel nurse contract, mainly is from what I'm talking about right now. So with that, what I'll say is guaranteed hours. That's another thing that you babes can make sure that you're asking for, is guaranteed hours, because there's something that can happen when you start these contracts, is that people will, their census, for people that don't know what a census is, on the hospital they have a certain number of patients. That's the census. If you have a small number of patients, it doesn't justify you having a large number of nurses. So they're gonna do the numbers, and if it doesn't justify having X amount of nurses, then they'll call you off or put you on call. When you're on call, that means that you're not gonna go into work until they call you and say, hey, we actually need you to come in. If you're doing something like that, you're not getting paid. So that's something to look for in your contract. If they call me off 3 out of my 5 shifts, am I only gonna get paid for 2 out of 5 shifts? Or are you guaranteeing me that I'll get paid at least 4 out of the 5 shifts? Now that's something that I really wish somebody would have told me about prior, because I had never heard about it, and it was never a problem until we started losing patience. They started calling saying, hey, we don't need you today. Hey, we don't need you today. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like now I'm not making money. Like for as long as I sit at home, and now I'm duplicating expenses. I still have my bills back home, and then I've acquired new bills here in this new place to pay for housing and to pay for all these things. If I'm not making money, what's the point in me being here? And that's honestly what it comes down to. If you're not making that much extra to cover you not working a couple of those shifts, and you still got to pay all those bills on time, that would not be a good situation to be in. So I definitely say ask your recruiter to make sure that you have guaranteed hours within your contract, to make sure that you're protected if the numbers do go up or down, that you still have your money that you were already planning to have every single day. Okay, so you guys, honestly, I think that's most of the things on the contract. Let me look really quick, and I'm just gonna make sure I didn't forget anything. I'm gonna leave this video right here. This is gonna be part 1 to my travel nursing, how I made 6 figures in 6 months. I'm gonna do like a little series on travel nursing. Like, y'all let me know what y'all think about that, but I really think it would be really dope for me to do a series on how I made 6 figures in 6 months. We'll start with this video. How do you become a travel nurse? What things to look for in your contract, and then we'll just start doing other little videos stemming from. I know definitely another one that I want to do are like top 10 things, like pros and cons about travel nursing. We just kind of went over some of the things that I wish I knew prior. And you know, you guys definitely drop in the comment section down below, what are some things that y'all really want to know about travel nursing? What are some things you want to see behind the scenes? Like anything that I can tell you guys. I really do want to be a resource. I am a very young nurse myself, but okay, like the thing is, I have seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I have experienced a whole lot throughout my nursing journey, and I definitely want to give back, and I want to help somebody else. So definitely let me know. No questions stupid. Drop it in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then find me on social media. You guys, our social medias have been booming, okay? Like if you have not done so already, please make sure that you're on my social media. All about we have a TikTok. We also have an Instagram, all about Riii, just like my YouTube. Go check us out. And if you want to follow my personal page, I will put that down in the comment section below. You can follow my personal Instagram and my personal Snapchat or whatever as well, because I post a lot of stuff. I ask kind of what do y'all want to see coming up for my YouTube. I make sure I post like when I do drop new videos. For those of you, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do it. But if you're not, I also post my schedule for when I'm going to post videos on my social media. So it's definitely good to just be locked in on all aspects. You guys, there's lots of new stuff coming soon. I'm very grateful and just very excited for the experience and where we're going together. Y'all are coming with me, of course. But yes, so let's just drop this right here. I'm about to get on this interstate, and I just kind of want to focus on the road. And y'all know I just got my car back. I had just wrecked the car. So let's just kind of do better. As we know better, we're gonna do better. But you guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I love y'all, and I appreciate all the love and support. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if I have not told you already, I will see you again in the next video. Bye.